Welcome to How to Decorate from Ballard Designs, a weekly podcast all about the trials and triumphs of decorating and redecorating your home. I'm Caroline. I'm on the marketing team.
And I'm Taryn, and I'm a product designer.
I'm Liz. I head up the creative team.
We're your hosts. Join the expert team at Ballard Designs for tips, tricks, and tales from interior designers, stylists, and other talents in the design world.
Plus, we'll answer your decorating dilemmas at the end of each episode.
We love answering your questions, so don't forget to email us at podcast@ballarddesigns.net.
Now, on with the show.
This week, we're thrilled to welcome interior designer Cate Gutter to the show. Cate started her design firm in 2020 and creates sophisticated interiors that are rich in color while focusing on functionality and timeless design. Cate, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for coming. And anyone watching on YouTube will see that we are in our new podcast studio. It's a little bit under construction. It's not 100% there yet.
It looks great to me.
I was going to say, but Kate's being kind.
Yes.
Things are going with the flow.
Thank you for being our guinea pig.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, so we're going to jump in. I wanted to start with your background because your parents like to flip houses. You had a very sort of design-focused upbringing. And I was curious how that jump-started your career in the design world and what lessons you took away from your experience growing up.
Yes. So my mom was a flipper and with 5 kids and never less than 3 dogs, created a very interesting sort of you feel settled and then all of a sudden you're packed up and everybody's moving and you're deciding you want turquoise walls and you want this. And she was constantly moving walls, fixing function, and making a space feel like home out of thin air, out of nothing. Sometimes you'd walk in these places and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is the house that we're moving into. And she just had this really incredible way of making home out of nothing. And so I was really blessed and fortunate. I didn't even realize that this was kind of different or kind of
that people didn't do this.
Yes, no, I didn't. I was just like, we're living here now and, we're just moving around. And it wasn't until I purchased my own home when we were living in Boston and then I flipped it and did another one. And I was having to fill something out about getting a mortgage or something. And it was like, list your past addresses in the past 10 years or whatever. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have never lived in a home longer than 3 years. And then I tracked it back my whole life. I had never lived in one home more than 3 years. And that is just a very...
Even to this day.
So this day, I am in year 5 of my own home, which is such an amazing space. My mother-in-law is a designer and my father-in-law is an architect. And that is a whole nother aspect of my story. They're incredible. But when they moved back, when my husband moved from Switzerland, that was the house that they bought, and they are still in today, and have constantly sort of changed it with the way that their family sort of changed and grew. And the kitchen has had different looks throughout the years, and chairs move around and sort of different wallpapers, but it has always felt very much like home. And I have loved that about their space because I felt when we started dating and I was 19 and I would go over there and, now decades later, I can say this, I'm so sorry, this feels like home. And I just want my kids to have that. I want there to be this space of familiarity. And while my mom is a magician and could constantly make home out of nothing, I really yearn for a home that could tell a story over time. So that's kind of my goal is to this is our little fixer-upper, and we're constantly each room doing, a year at a time. But this is definitely the first house that I've been in for more than 3 years.
Wow. What were some childhood homes that stick out to you in particular? Was there anything or any project that your mom did that you were that really left an impression that you could speak to?
Yeah. So definitely there's there was a home when I was in middle school. And so I have 4 older sisters and we each had our own room. And that was the first time that we each had our own room.
That's big. Yeah, that is.
It's a big deal for all the girls. We had our own laundry room upstairs because my mom was like, if y'all are upstairs, you are doing your own laundry. And there was a rule that no boy was allowed to go up stairs because it was just girls.
We literally lived the same life. No boys were allowed up the stairs. But we only had 4 bedrooms. How many bathrooms did you guys have growing up?
We had 3 upstairs. So
okay.
2 girls shared a room, 2 girls shared a room, and then there was a single bathroom. And each room had its own color. So there was like my sister Brooke had a green room, my sister Whitney had a blue room, my sister Liz had a yellow room, I had pink, and I think my sister Melissa's was it was maybe red or it was some shade of pink or something like that. And there was all like each room had its own fabric, and then there was like a secondary fabric, and like the duvet matched the curtains and matched the bed skirt. It was
there's a formula.
There was a formula, and there was a window seat. We all had our window seat.
Oh, window seat.
Oh,
Fabulous.
It was
my gosh,
so
this sounds like Little Women.
Oh, it was so amazing. And I still think about that house because you just walked in there, and we all had our own bulletin board. So, you had all your photos. And so it was very much like your own oasis, but your own kind of identity. And each daughter got to pick their color. And then my mom did the design of it, the scheme of it. And I have not done a room like this, but there is like a little bit of like an inkling, like if there was the right time and space, I would love to bring back that sort of like 90s.
Yeah.
Just like the same fabric just came in and took over the space.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you remember the fabrics that were in your pink room?
Yes, mine was like a pink and green toile. And there was like a stripe, and like the front of the duvet was like a pink and green, and it was piped in pink. And then the underside was like a really thin, almost like a ticking stripe on the back. And they were scattered throughout.
I want toile to come back. I know it's kind of coming back, but like to the 90s level.
I think it's because it is a core memory probably for all of us.
Yeah.
Like there was toile.
And it's such a classic.
It is. It's a storytelling.
I love that like all over toile look where it's the wallpaper and the fabric and the,
I think it's so great. And I think I've been thinking about this a lot because I do think there's a level definitely for me, and I feel amongst my friends, of just kind of bringing back things that felt like nostalgic to our own childhood for our own children. Because I think we feel like a little bit of childhood today is being taken away by like technology and screens and sort of just this different world that we're living in, and how we're trying to create what we associate with childhood. And I wonder if that's like very similar in design, like that we're trying to bring back this feeling of what home felt like to us with like the stained wood kitchens and like just kind of parquet floors and different things that like I'm really drawn to just because I think it reminds me of my childhood.
Oh, for sure.
Totally. I love watching like the same movies.
Yes.
That, like The Sandlot or like
it's so
Home Alone and all of those movies that like were very millennial kids.
Yeah.
Watch.
Yes. And my kids
and
love them.
they love
Do
them.
they love it? Yeah. They like love them more than the other movies today. I saw a quote somewhere, and it was someone was saying that movies like in the 90s when we were growing up weren't better, but they were like better at being bad. Like not, like those movies that were like weren't great, but they were like so much better at not being great that it was better than like a bad movie today where you're like, oh gosh, these flashing lights and it's just too much. Whereas like terrible sort of like special effects like weren't viewed as being like a mistake, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right because we asked you to, do you remember any of the houses growing up? And you can specifically reach into this, like your memory for this one home, and you remember your room, and there had to be something about, your age and the timing that also made it, again, this like comfort. Totally, and to your point, probably why like a toile will probably live as like a wonderful thing. Or vice versa. I feel like ECOTs for a while because I just remember them as part of, but in a bad way. Like I remember them in like reds and greens, like where you're like
too much.
It was, And anyway, so in the same similar vein of like ones that were good and feel so good and nostalgic, like, and then the ones that you're like, ooh, that have taken me a while.
There's definitely certain patterns that could go either way. Like a damask, I feel like is,
it
can go a certain way.
Yeah. And I think there are some designers who can use it maybe better than others.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And I would say that that's kind of how I feel about some of those like very specific patterns is I totally can appreciate someone else using it in like a fresh contemporary way, but I don't know that I'm ready to bring it into my design.
Yeah. Yeah. And then also what style of house? Like, like, would you need a Tudor style to do a damask? You know what I mean? Like, what pairs well per
Right,
se,
right.
architecturally, or like location too?
Yeah. Well, what type of houses were they growing up? Were they like mostly traditional old houses that you were fixing up, or was it kind of all over the map?
They were mostly all traditional, like Southern. I'm from Louisiana, so that has a pretty specific sort of style of home. So the last one that I was speaking about was a house that they built. So that was really like fun in that process too, of like seeing kind of, we would go during the construction phase and look through all of it. And I stepped on a nail once and it went all the way through my foot. I remember that as well. So like I have these Austin homes that have these like real thick Birkenstocks, and people are like, oh, you should wear, work boots on site. And I'm like, oh no, I know these are thick enough that a whole nail like can't go through. So like I'm good. Like I'm scarred enough to know what to wear on site. But yeah, they were mostly traditional homes. And until, my parents bought a summer camp, and the first house we lived at was this little cabin. So that was kind of the first sort of like really different style house. And I think my mom did a really good job. I don't know that really felt like home, just because it's hard there was that time in my life of moving at 14 to the mountains, and there was a lot of like figuring out kind of who am I and what is home and all of that at that time. But
flipping houses, I imagine, and you mentioned there were a lot of like moving of walls. What were some like, layout or flow or architectural changes that your mom made or you remember that you feel like are really effective? I think a lot about like the flow of houses when we were kids versus now. And everyone's talking about like open concept. And are we going back from an open concept, or do we like a traditional floor plan? Any thoughts on that?
Lots of thoughts on that. I have very strong opinions on, I'm anti-open concept. I think that there should be a room and intention for each space. So I always start with function when I go into someone's home, and then follow with the pretty. Because I think if it doesn't work for you, then what are we doing here? Like this house is never going to like feel right. It's never going to feel like home if you can't walk in the back door and set your backpack down on a bench or a locker. Like, how does your family live? And so my mom was really great at that. That was something that she really always could walk in and say. We did one house in Asheville, and there was a room that was going to become my room, and it was intentionally, it was like an office or something, but it was a ranch, and she was down at one end. My parents were down at one end, and right across the hall was the other bedroom. And all my sisters were off at college. So it was really just kind of like that was a guest room. And because I was a high school teenager, she was like, you deserve to have kind of your own space and don't need to be across the hall from your parents. So she took one of the hall bathrooms. There were 2 powder rooms. She took one of those, converted it into being an ensuite to this office, and kind of made this office powder room like an amazing space for a teenager. And I was able to kind of have a little bit of autonomy from them. And that is something that has really carried through with a lot of my clients. And sometimes I find that when my clients, when they're in their homes, they don't even see how things aren't functioning for them anymore because they're just so in it. For example, I just recently completed a project last year, and it's one of my most like proud moments. This builder brought me in when the client was having trouble kind of making some design decisions on a bathroom. And I went in thinking we would be selecting tile and plumbing. And when I got there, she was walking me through and showing me her nursery that also had a king bed in it. And she was like, it's our youngest child, and my parents and in-laws come a lot. This is the bathroom that I want to redo because my parents are here a lot, and I want it to just be a nicer bathroom. And there was a crib in the room. And she was like, I don't think this is going to be our forever home because we're kind of busting out of the seams here. So I don't want to spend too much on it, but I do want it to be nicer. And so then I went on to their primary suite, and she had this massive walk-in closet, this huge living room off of her bedroom. And she was like, it's really unbalanced. And I wish we didn't have so much space. And I went home to work on the proposal and was looking through all of sort of the plans, and I just couldn't shake the thought of pouring all this money into these bathrooms when it just didn't work for them.
Yeah.
So I pulled on my design software, and I kind of made the closet connect to the bathroom and made it a Jack and Jill. And so that way baby could have room, guests could have room. And then we took her living room and made it a big walk-in closet. And I was like, I know that this is not what was bid out by the builder. Sorry. It's going to be more expensive. But at the end of the day, if the space doesn't function for you, then it really doesn't work pouring all of the funds into it if you're not going to make it work. So they ended up moving forward, and she is just like, I cannot believe you changed our lives. Like we now don't have to leave our neighborhood and our friends and all these things because like we have everything we need.
Yeah. It's amazing.
That is, yeah.
And I really learned that from my mom because she just was constantly making what seemed like it shouldn't work. So
Yeah, and not feeling like what is already there is set in stone, and like you can move a wall, you can turn a closet into a bedroom and like just being flexible within the footprint that you have, but making the rooms that you need versus just having what's there.
Right. And it doesn't have to look pretty. Like who needs a living room off of their bedroom?
Yeah.
I mean, and if you have kids, like, who are you even able to sit in that room? I mean, my kids, like, I can't even imagine a space where I'd be like, I'm going to be up here, darlings. Like, see you later. You know, you're like,
they would be there.
They would be there.
Yeah. And plus, it just becomes, or at least for me, it just becomes like, where can I throw my clothes at the end of the day?
Yeah.
You know, it's like a junk spot.
Well, it's so nice you changed that space. You know, you took, again, something they weren't utilizing. But it sounds like that's how you grew up, is like watching, you know, how creatively can you make things better, and not like
definitely
pouring money in, but like, how can we fix this and make this better?
Function first, always. And then the beauty, you can get some beautiful things. And if you have leftover funding, you can spend all that you want, or you can save that part for later and get some things that work now. And but the function should always be there. The bones should always make sense.
I'm sure that was a really expensive renovation, but you know what else is also really expensive? Moving.
Oh my gosh, right? Yeah.
So if they were to move, like that would be way more than just making what they've already got work for them.
Definitely.
You know?
Plus, so many people love their neighborhood, you know, like in a good way. Like they love their neighbors. They have these relationships, and then they outgrow their home and they're like, what do we do?
Right. And they had just done this big, beautiful pool during COVID, and the kitchen was, you know, so they had all these great bits, and this just one part didn't make sense. And now it makes sense. And I mean, I get these random text messages where she's like, I'm just sitting, you know, in, you know, my child's new room, and I just want you to know, like, we're so happy. This just works so well. And I'm like, this is why I do what I do, because I know it's hard to see it when it's your own space, but I also know that my brain just works differently than other people. Like, don't give me a calculator. I will like somehow get the math problem wrong, but I can like see things in puzzles. Like that's just the way that my brain works. It's just different. And so I can walk into a space and be like, well, let's just move here. And that's how my mom is. So
yeah.
I mean, it probably also helps you to, again, in your business now too, to like work on all these projects at the same time. Do you find that to be a challenge, or like putting all those different pieces together of all the different homes?
Gosh, it's so interesting. I don't think so. I find that I get a lot of inspiration from my clients, like who they are, what makes them tick, the clothes that they wear, the vacations that they go on, and that sometimes like might influence a project subconsciously. Like I'll see something in one discussion in one house and be like, oh, it's maybe not the same light fixture, but like maybe something light and airy in that project. So they don't, I am able to compartmentalize the projects in terms of like workflow, but sometimes there's like a little bit of creative inspiration that blends into one over the other.
Yeah. You have three kids. You're one of 5. So I imagine that you have had your fair share of like, you know, messes, cleanups, like you're used to all of that. You're used to, and it sounds like a lot of your clients have families. So I was curious, like, you know, what are your sort of thoughts on function for families? I feel like most people really agonize over their couch and like the main upholstery in a living room, just because so much living happens there, so many messes happen there. So, but I noticed in your work that you have a lot of, like more colored upholstery, more not patterns, but like textured upholstery. And I was curious, like, what you kind of guide your clients on upholstery when that's such a big concern for families?
Definitely. So I love color, and that is like seen through all the things that I do. And I actually, in our house, we have a big green plaid sofa. It's like loud and proud, and I love it. It's got a skirted, like a fringe skirt on it. And my kids have like jumped on it, built forts on it. I mean, the sofa itself is about 15 years old. And leading into the answer of your question, furniture can be reupholstered. I think there is, it's not a new thing to me because my mom, every time we would move houses, the same chair would just get a new facelift.
Yeah.
So like that just is so, we've always had an upholstery team. We've always had a workroom in every city that they've lived in that we send things to.
That's so good though. That's so nice. She's like found, yeah.
Yeah. So like to me, that just is so second nature. We're like, of course it's a new house. It's going to get a new little something.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a lot of fear in people who don't work in this industry when you go to purchase a sofa to be like, well, it's just going to be white or it's just going to be blue. It's just going to, and we'll decorate with pillows. And I think that can be really beautiful, but I don't know that that is all you can do. You can go a little bit further if you want to. Also, patterns and color and texture hide stains really well. And performance fabrics have really like changed in the past 5 years for sure. And I think even more so in 10 years. And y'all have a ton of like beautiful performance colored fabrics. So I think that it shouldn't be such a scary thing because if you don't like it, it's an expense, but it's not a crazy expense to reupholster a sofa or a chair.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Performance fabrics have come a long way. But if you do get a white couch, even if it's performance, like you're still going to have to clean it.
Absolutely.
It can be cleaned. It can be cleaned, but you will have to clean it. So that's something that I've learned. Like, and especially like solids or a fabric that's like more flat and doesn't have like a texture.
Some give to it.
You will see every imperfection. Now you can get the imperfections out, but if you've got kids eating snacks on the sofa every afternoon, like, do you want to be getting it out every day?
Yeah.
Or can you live with it? Some people can.
And that's the next thing that I, when I was thinking about our conversation today, my sort of approach to design is that I don't think that a space should be too precious. Like I don't love walking into someone's house and being like, wow, it's a museum. It's so beautiful. Like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to sit on this chair. I don't want to touch something too much. I don't want to mess anything up. My motto in my house is like, nothing is too precious. Like you are the precious people to me. Like come in, sit down. If you want to wear your shoes in the house, wear your shoes in your house. If you my little 3-year-old nephew jumping on the sofa, I'm like, he's having so much fun. He's a dinosaur like in the jungle on my green sofa. Like, do not disturb him. Let him live. I wanted, like, my name is Aunt Bug amongst the family. And I'm like, Aunt Bug's house is a place where you can like come and be creative and have fun. And like, there's no one who's not welcome and not allowed to just be comfortable. And I would just never want anything to feel too precious. And so when I'm selecting things, one, you have to, not everybody is like that. So I understand that. But there should be spaces that are like that within your home, especially when you're a family. So selecting the right fabrics, that whether it's a velvet that's just got like tons of, we just did this beautiful floral chair from Baker, and it's velvet and it's got like a million colors in it. And like you probably could just take a crayon and just smear it and you wouldn't even see it because there's so much color on it. And I think it's right in the family room and there's 3 little kiddos that spin around in it and make it a spaceship. And I just think that like life is for living and it should be beautiful, but it also should be a place that like having a mess and having fun and feeling comfortable, like home is a space to feel safe. And the furnishings should follow that.
What other items will you put in? Because you speak to this comfort. So how else can people get this kind of comfort thing you're talking about?
So like a rug that's made out of wool, that is easy to clean. It's soft underfoot. I have rugs throughout my house that are like over 100 years old. There's tears and holes. And like we had a puppy and the puppy chewed a little bit on it. And I was like, I'm not going to cry over this. This is like, this rug has like seen some days and now it sees some days at the Gutter household.
Yeah.
And I think that is like starting from the ground, something that is easy to be cleaned and also not too precious, like viscose, if you got a stain in it, it feels great underfoot, but a water stain will never come out of that. Also like brass that is natural and will patina over time and shows fingerprints on it. I think that is like the intention. Marble, like having etchings and scratches and chips, like that just to me reads like a home that is well lived in and loved. And a perfect marble, I love to cook. So a perfect countertop that has no etches and stains just feels like, I don't even know if I can sit here. Like walking into a friend's house that has a counter that's like got all sorts of mistakes on it, just feels like warm. And like I'm like ready to like have a bowl of spaghetti and like add to the patina and character. And I think it's your approach to your items, but kind of investing in long-term pieces that have been around forever, materials, stone, wood, brass, wool. That is like just that will last this test of time. So
no, those are good materials because I have a lacquered dining table and I can say that is one that scratches very easily. So it is very much like I'm either on the whatever, like live, or I'm like, don't dare go in there, children. Don't touch that surface. There's plenty of other tables. Use those.
So where do you end with it now? Like, are you letting it be lived in, or is it like a day to day?
It's day to day because sometimes I'm just like, okay, you're older, you go do a puzzle in there is fine. But the younger one that's going to like draw or something, no. Go to the breakfast room.
But it is your formal dining room. Yes. So it's, like it's not like your kitchen table.
I'm not using it daily. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I knew that getting it. But to your point is it is one area where I'm more cautious. And not with friends. This is my own kids. They're the ones who are going to ruin it.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes adults, though, are the biggest mischief makers. I mean, in terms of like really breaking your stuff in. But that would have it any other way.
But like you said, but then it'd be like living with it. It's either live with it or get it fixed, to your point. Totally. So that was just that and acrylic. I feel like acrylic stretches. Yeah.
But, I feel like you can, like, the important thing is to have a mix.
Yeah.
Or I guess you don't have to have a mix. But to me, I'm like, I can have a mix. I can have some things that are nicer and like be like, okay, like we don't eat our snacks here. And I can have some places where I'm like, okay, like I can live with that. And so I feel like you can have, but knowing what goes where is really important, right? Like picking the correct finishes and materials for the correct rooms is just a part of the equation because we are more familiar with that. But like our listeners,
definitely,
it's good to know what can handle a little bit more.
Yeah, like which material should go in a bar stool. And, like a faux leather or vinyl, like is so easy to wipe up. And I saw some like beautiful banquettes that y'all had in the store today. And we do a lot of banquettes at our firm with our clients because it's just great for like kids climbing in and everybody like file in and file out. And we do a lot of like faux leather because it looks so much nicer now than it used to, or real leather if someone's okay with like the scratches and the old stains and stuff like that. But that is like an area where you could go really wrong if you did the wrong material. You might feel
in
like
an eating area
viscose and say like, oh, this feels so great. This will be so great.
Yeah. And
then it's just day one gets totally ruined and not in a like lived in patina sort of way. So
in a disgusting sort of way. No, that's a good one. And you talked about you love cooking. So what are some things you do in the kitchen to make it that kind of, again, comfort and ease for guests?
So do you mean like in terms of entertaining or in terms of materiality?
Both, really. Like what are your favorite go-tos in your kitchen? Like, is it the dishes you're giving out to people so you're not worried? Is it the surface you're working on?
So our house is a fixer-upper and we have not done the kitchen. So I do feel like I'm speaking out of place of luxury in terms of like, I'm like, please break it, please. I would love to redo my kitchen.
Oh, and you said that though. You said you're going room by room.
We are going room by room. We kind of bought the location with the intention of my father-in-law is an architect and I'm very blessed that he is so talented and has been drawing space by space for us kind of as we go. And the kitchen is going to be the last one, but that's because it's so important to me. I'm like a cat. I've had a lot of lives. In one of my previous career, I was a wedding cake baker. So I love to bake and I love to cook. And the kitchen is going to be like a really big undertaking in terms of like where all of my pieces go and all of that. But when we are hosting, I love to have appetizers out that kind of spread across the island because I want everybody to sit and talk to me and while I'm cooking and have a glass of wine. And we intentionally have a very we moved some walls when we moved in, and we added. There was a little tiny outdoor space that was too tiny even to put like a bistro table, and they had these dual French doors that opened out. And but we didn't have a breakfast table, because the people who had the House of Forest, there was a breakfast table. So right when you opened the front door, you saw this messy table. And that is one thing that I make the mess, but a disoriented table and chairs askew, that wouldn't work for me on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So we actually took the doors off, made a cased opening and closed this little outdoor patio, did a built-in banquette. I kept the brick flooring and did these just big windows. So when you're sitting in it, feels like you're sitting in a tree house.
That's awesome.
And so it's really great.
Yeah.
It's kind of living in your space and taking it bit by bit. We do want a place to sit down casually. We don't want to always eat in the dining room because you have my grandmother's dining table, and it's that is something that I can fix it, but I don't want to fix it all the time.
Yeah.
So,
yes, exactly.
I actually did a porcelain top, a real thin porcelain top that looks like marble on top of our table. So you can pour nail polish on it, permanent marker. It is indestructible. And so I just let my little dinosaur nephew just run around circles on the table and have at it. I love it. Just So
that is a good one to talk through too. What about bathrooms? What's something you do in there for all the ages?
So bathrooms, this is definitely a sort of client preference. If a client comes and says this is their primary bathroom and they want it to have this sort of longevity, they want to be able to love it in 20 years, which most people do when they're redoing a bathroom. Tile is, when I was talking about the sofa earlier and I was you can reupholster it. Tile is not something you want to redo. That is not where you take a risk on trends. And I love all the beautiful trends of all the crazy tile work that I see. And it is takes everything within me to not do that because I think it's just functionally doesn't, it so dates the project. And so in sticking in that lane, sticking with things like marble, that is forever. It's been around forever. It is outdoor all over Europe, and it can patina and age. And if you're okay with that sort of the veins kind of get more color to them over time. It does, it's a living kind of material. It does I had a client, he always said let the rock be a rock. Don't make it too precious. Let it kind of be and let it have a leathered texture. And I love that because when it's marble but don't touch it and we polish it and it has to be perfect, it kind of loses that sort of approachability. And to me, that doesn't feel long term. So when doing bathrooms, definitely lean towards marble. Now, if the budget doesn't allot for it, which in children's room it does not, and I do unlacquered brass in primary bathrooms as that patinas too. And if someone doesn't like a patina look, then we'll do a porcelain, but do a very traditional sort of classic design, maybe a checkerboard floor or a penny tile. And I usually lean towards a warm polished nickel. So something that feels timeless. You'll never look at that and say, oh, that's so 2025. It's just, yeah. So, and you can have fun with the wallpaper and the window treatment and all of that.
Yeah. And the mirror, the window, the lighting.
Right.
Sconce or something. Yeah.
A lot of them are removable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to get anyone in there with a sledgehammer to change out your tile. Right.
No. I mean, that is that is real serious because it's dusty and it's messy and it's not something that you want to do every 5 years.
Yeah.
And bad tile.
I remember my first reno, and this was in 2010, and the main contractor just was oh, do you want some accent tile in here? And I was I I just want you to run the tile normal. He's like, are you sure you don't want like a strip? And I was like, I don't.
Just fine. Just leave it.
Can we just go with the whole just the same? And I remember him being like, okay, your decision. And I was like, it was my decision. Thank you.
They really wanted to like zhuzh it up.
You know
Taryn.
the
They were
strip I'm
bored with
talking
your-
about? That
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it was
totally.
one line of like brown, tile.
And I
feel like it's
love-
always brown.
I love all the great tile work. And like, there's definitely a part of me that is like, oh man, I just would love to lean into that harder because it's so beautiful. But when you're dealing with people's money and my clients, that is not something that they want to do all the time. Like they're coming to me because they were like, we need help. This is a big project. They're not wanting to come back in 5 years or 10 years and redo it.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm thinking of a friend of mine who did a whole project redoing all the bathrooms in her house and like did her daughters and sons' bathrooms, and like one was pink and it was a Jack and Jill, and then she did one, it was like blues for her son, and then found out that she was pregnant with twins and was like, I wish that I hadn't maybe been so specific, because had I known I was going to have 2 more kids, then I might have like rearranged their rooms a little bit because we thought we were done. But now like she's kind of stuck a little bit. Like she could probably do a few things and like change the wallpaper and stuff. But it's...
Yeah, pink is hard. I feel like blue, we're doing a little girl's bathroom right now and we're doing blue. And it's like that feels timeless and has some legs on it. Pink that's harder to kind of, maybe stick to.
Because and they weren't even selling it. And like if you're selling it, that's one thing. You're kind of passing it on to someone else who might be annoyed with your tile.
Right.
But this was like something that she picked and she really loved. But she was just like, 6 months ago I loved it. And then now I'm like, oh man. I still love it how it looks, but it's like limiting her,
Totally.
And we took that approach, and a lot of listeners know because we built or whatever. But I ran out of mental capacity to design the boys' bathrooms, and I went with all white. I was like, we're just doing white subway in here. Your little boys and white vanity,
ever.
and we, like you were saying, and that way everything else, from the tile up, I can paint it whatever. We can add whatever window treatments to add pattern. But it has allowed, like, it's a fully, I mean, it is boring in a way, but like I added hardware on the cabinets. That was a little fun, a fun mirror.
Or like little sports things. I mean, my boys' bathroom, same thing. We moved in our house. I just did all white tile, but I did go up, 40 inches because I was like, there are 2 little boys and they are just running around, splashing around. I mean, like, if anyone has any tricks for how to get your kids to not be so messy in the bathroom, I would love it. Because it's just like,
nope.
They're just, they're busy.
Sorry, we can't help.
They're busy. They don't have time to like use a towel and, hang things in the...
Oh my God, and they're like little tiny pieces of toilet paper all over the floor.
Yeah, I think that's
what I mean? Like, do y'all ever have that?
I was just going in my brain, my latest story where he wanted the new roll on his thing. So he just like used a whole bunch of toilet paper. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, it's time for a new roll. And you're like,
no, it's not.
Is your toilet paper like fun? Like, is it like,
exactly.
Okay.
No, it's not. It was fun to him.
I don't know if it was like, I don't know, something like a
patterned one or whatever.
I don't know.
I know.
I'm like, I'm intrigued.
No,
I'm like, why are there like tiny little like flakes of toilet paper all over?
I think they think it's like some sort, like maybe it was confetti at one point. I mean, I think
I don't know.
The way the kids' brains work. Yeah. It's so fun. I mean, I oftentimes am like, I wish that my brain worked that way still, because they can just make this whole magical world out of nothing.
So. And we see it as messes.
Yes.
Just mess after mess.
Is there anything that you, actually, I was thinking about, this sort of goes along with kids' rooms. I was thinking about kids' rooms because you have several in your portfolio that I loved and are so pretty. And I've been thinking recently, because I kind of have redone my not redone, but like, I decorated my girls' rooms and I did a wallpaper or a pattern on the headboard. And when I sort of was putting it together, I was putting it together with like it tidy in mind, right? Like I'm putting it together thinking of what it's going to look like when it is neat.
Yeah.
Right? And it's best. Exactly.
Right.
But it never looks at its best. It always has like, every single picture she's ever colored and like all of her art projects. And I love all those things, but it like, it's hard to like
live with.
Well, I've thought like, is there something I could have done when I was decorating it to make it to where this looks good every day and looks put together every day instead of like all the little things that you get from goodie bags like on every surface and like all the trinkets.
It's so interesting because I think every like mom can relate to the story you just told, and all of those beautiful rooms that like were so intentionally designed. When we shot them, like we went in and pulled all of the trinkets out and all of the bits and all of the things, and ironed all the stuff and got it all looking back to the way that it was designed. But I've just had like a shift in thinking about how when I was little and I was at my grandmother's house. So my grandmother, before interior design was like even a trade, she went to Ohio State and had a home ec degree, and she would decorate too. So she had beautiful homes, and every room had a color very similar to my mom's. So when we would go, there was the green room had this like beautiful canopy bed, and the blue room had 2 king beds in it, and it had this like hidden storage door where you would like go through a closet and then you would open up this hidden door and it like connected around. And I always wanted that room because that was like where the secret fairies lived. And I would pull off these things in there, and she either like sweetly left them there or did not know that they were I created all these homes and villages like back in this like little storage, and I would just spend hours. I'm sure they were like, Kate's so entertained, just leave her up there. Like
whatever she's
doing is fine. And I go back to that memory of how magical and accessible that room felt to me, and how that sort of like creative freedom, we all want that for our kids, right? Like we all want them to feel just not attached to a screen, not having to be in a certain box, and just being able to really like let their mind go there. And when we come in, and I'm like the worst at doing this, I come in and I'm like, everything's going in the trash can. Because my kids are like very creative, all 3 of them. And there's like a million, they've really, their rooms are their rooms. And but I just think back on like how that is the safe space that we've created for them, and like those little knickknacks and things, that's their world, So to us, it's like this little messy thing, but they're so much smaller, and they have like where it looks like a little tiny ball to us, to them, it's like, Saturn or something. And they just, so I try to give grace in terms of the mess, and I don't do a very good job at it all the time, but that is my goal.
Yeah, so it's embrace. I think the answer was embrace.
Well, I'm not necessarily trying to get rid of those things. I'm not necessarily trying to get rid of those things. I guess I've just wondered, like, is there something that I could have done to add more of a framework, or like carve out, I don't know, something to where like there's a balance, right?
They pull it out. They would like pull it out into those rooms, even if you had a box and we're like, put all those things in here. Like my kids have a desk, and they have made like curtains and a house, and there's all these like dolls that they made out of sticks that live in there, and they have real dolls. Like I don't know why the dolls have to be out of sticks from outside. And like there's ants on them and like moss, and like do they have to be stick dolls? But that is the dolls that live in the house. And I don't think that there's anything we could do to make it better. I think that they're just
I don't either, because to your point, you throw one of those little things away.
It had a name and a family.
Yeah, and they'll ask where it is. I do a lot of, I don't know where it is. It's not,
or blaming.
Oh, I'm like, if you leave it on the floor in the kitchen or in the TV room, it's fair game. I get to decide if it goes in the garbage.
Oh man,
you know what I mean? The dog a lot.
Not like a real toy,
yes,
but like
for sure. Definitely blame the dog.
It's the goodie bag toys that really get me. I'm like, why is this little tiny piece of plastic? Like, come on.
Yes,
we don't need this.
Well, I also blame the parents, and I'm like, why did you give that to all of us? Like, I don't think you had this great party.
It's a broken Slinky.
You had a great party. You don't need to give us a bag of Slinkies.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is part of your childhood, though, right? Like,
I guess like there's certain things where I'm like, well, I have a bulletin board. Like the bulletin board is for all the art, but then the bulletin board is empty. She takes it all off the bulletin board and like stacks it. I'm where I'm like, what's
She sounds really creative. She might be a designer in her future. She sounds
I think that's what it is. Yeah, she will be a designer, but right now it's just a trap.
Yeah, she can't be put in a box. She's got
I mean, it's the same for me. He has a bookshelf, all his books, but he likes to lay them all out. The whole Dogman series. We have to show how they're all in a line and which order. And you're like, yeah, I get it. Just put them on the bookshelf like that. And he's like, no.
Can't see the cover.
Yes.
Yes.
Foolish
so
me.
Good.
Yeah. So I do. I mean, for me, I have let his closet, like to your point, be more of that. Like, I'm just like, I've added some shelves in there. Because I'm like, just go ham in there then. Like, make that your world.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't help. The counters are covered, like, front to back. New monster trucks in the front, awards in the back. You know, you're like, I could sweep this off today and have no remorse. But he would,
lose it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess at least I'm not the only one.
You're not.
Like,
Yeah, at least the three of us are aligned that we haven't figured it out. But maybe we'll just keep asking. And we'll find somebody who will be like, here's the trick.
At some point, I'm like, once they get older, I feel like they have less little toys and more just like big stuff. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I got a 12-year-old and we still got a lot of little stuff.
Okay, darn.
A lot of artwork. Although I will say that like he's my art kid. So there's like art all like he tapes it all over his wall. And like sometimes he's like a little mad scientist in there and I come in and I'm like, what is all of this? He loves history. And so he'll paint like these portraits of all these historians. And it's like a little art gallery on his wall.
That sounds cool though.
Yeah, it is cool. But it's like, they're like sheets of paper, you know?
Yeah.
And some of them I have framed and they actually hang on our gallery wall because I love them. But yeah, there's a lot of them. We might be starting a new business of like oil, not oil paintings, but like knockoffs of
oil paintings. I love that. It's even better, really.
So if you're in the market, let me know.
Well, I think we were going to talk about art. So that's probably a great way to like
great transition.
Like as someone who loves art and collects art, this is something again. I think we ask a lot of designers on this, but art is so important to a space. And we want to make it less intimidating for listeners. So, like, how can we do that?
Mm-hmm. I do think that art is very intimidating. There's some sort of, because art is it's a challenging thing. It's been around forever. There's a lot of like prestige that comes around with some really great art. But you don't have to have like a special degree in, to be a gallerist, to have like a beautiful collection of art. My husband and I, one of my most favorite and treasured pieces, I was studying abroad in Barcelona and we had only been dating a very short time and I was 19 and he was like tall and had this like long curly hair and he played all these like old hippie songs on a guitar and he was teaching me how to play and I packed up my guitar and like flew across the ocean with it and my 5 roommates in like a 1-bedroom apartment were like, get out of here with that guitar. Like you don't even know how to play it. Like why did you fly to Barcelona with this guitar? And so I would go to this park and I would just sit and like strum terribly. And there was this like artist guy and it was just this little park outside of our apartment in Barcelona. And so when my now husband, boyfriend at the time, came to visit, I was taking him through the park and the street artist had this like 4x16 kind of sketch painting of this like tall, long guitarist. And it was like 15 euros and we bought it and it hangs in our house today. And I just love it because it was not expensive, but it reminds me, it like gives me goosebumps just like where we were and this like just like how crazy in love we were that I like brought this guitar across the ocean. And now my son like, is going to art school next year. He played the guitar for his audition. He played Mr. Tambourine Man by Bob Dylan. And so it's just kind of like a full circle moment on how art doesn't have to be anything priceless or like by some big name. Like sometimes it's just something you find from a street vendor and it makes you feel something. And I do have some clients that we go on a lot of art sourcing trips. So one of my favorite places is in Charleston. And there's one really high-end gallery, Meyer Vogel, that I love, and George Gallery. Those are both some like, not everything is high priced, but you can get some like really kind of pieces that are more investment pieces. And then there's some more approachable galleries that are down on King Street. And one that I love is Miller Gallery, and just kind of a little funkier and fun. And I've taken a bunch of clients down to Charleston and been like, let's just see what you feel. We have, hop around the galleries, and sometimes we're really successful, and sometimes they just get one thing that they love. But art isn't something that you can walk in and just say, we have to fill these walls. Like that gives me the biggest ick. Like I think I'd rather see a blank wall and have something that takes time for you to fall in love with than for you to just go online and purchase. Like it should be something that makes you feel something. And again, going back to function, if the room is meant to be calming and studious, like maybe the art reflects that. If the room is meant to be fun and bright, and maybe the art reflects that. And sometimes the art doesn't make any sense. It's just something that made you feel something and you want to have it in your house, and I say buy it and we'll find a place for it. So whether it's getting nailed on top of a bookshelf or if it's going on a staircase. I also love for art to be silly sometimes. So it doesn't have to be like I was telling y'all earlier about my sister's tuna, how it like judges you while you're eating dinner. My sister is an artist, and she paints. She's a fisherwoman too. So she paints these like beautiful fish paintings, and they're very like realistic, and I just love them. I think that they like have a playfulness and a seriousness to them. There's like a pull there that I really like. And my husband really loves art. That is something that he takes super seriously. So he's more on a sort of hunt for something that has a little bit more of a history, of a story, some like a little bit more of investment pieces. And I'm grabbing things at flea markets and like antique stores. And we were in France recently, and I saw this art for a client, and it was so beautiful. It was a piece of fabric that the artist had taken and just sewn all these like crazy, like chaotic stitches throughout of them. And I sewed growing up. And so, when you sew, you knot it and then you clip the thread so you can keep the clean line. But she kept the threads, and so they're all sewed on top of. So it's really like kind of chaotic feeling. And then she painted with these really beautiful pinks and blues, and it's like feminine and floral but like chaotic, and it's just cool. And I like sent it to a client, and I was like, I think this needs to go in your living room. And she was like, I love it. So sometimes the clients find art because it makes them feel something. A client texted me a couple of days ago. She's in Portland. She was like, we love this barn painting. And I was like, get it. We'll hang it up. They're in Chicago. And then sometimes a client feels really intimidated. And even in the galleries, it's hard to see how all of those pieces are going to go together. And so we'll buy things when we are at flea markets or in different places, and we have like some stock at the office. And so sometimes we'll pull a bunch of things in and lay it out, and the client will be like, this feels right to me. So I really don't think that there's a perfect approach to art, but there's just a lot of different ways to make it work for you and your space.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm with you on that, where I've bought certain pieces, but then it's just either too small, like where it needs to live with other things on a wall. And that's a me problem too, of like, we have a lot of space, like a lot of big walls right now because it's a newer build. So there's just a lot of wall. And I'll buy something, or I had things, and it really is like, all right, you can't be alone because there'll be too much space around you. So I've been kind of holding it and like trying to place it with other, like waiting to get more. It's like a long game, and that part's hard.
But I also love putting like a smaller piece on a little sliver of wall. You know what I mean? Like sometimes like at the end of a hallway, or like between two doors. So I always feel like those are sometimes overlooked. Like, because especially like in a hallway, you get up, or in a bathroom, you get up so much closer to your wall. Whereas in a living room, like you're never, there's a piece of furniture there, or there's like a sofa there, or sometimes there's like a barrier.
Or there's a lot of fabric, and so it's like not totally getting the attention.
Yeah. So then in a hallway or small room, it's kind of nice to like, be able to get up close to a small piece. Yeah. Right.
Or even just nailing it on a bookshelf. So, just kind of like putting it right on up there. I do think I have a client who we went on this big art trip with. We got all these great pieces, and they got just a little like nervous about hanging things up because we didn't have all the pieces together to like totally see how the room would go. And I'm like, it's paint. Just throw it up there. If you like it, if you buy more, you want to move it, you just patch it up, paint it up, keep on going. I just think art should live on your walls, even if it's not a perfect solution. Put it up, enjoy it. And my husband and I probably twice a month, we like rip all the paintings off and move everything
Oh my
out.
gosh.
Twice a month?
Yeah, I mean, not all of the art, but like definitely some pieces. He likes to piddle around and move things around, and
That's a lot.
he loves to do that. And I'm like, just leave it there. We just recently, we had this one gallery wall going up the stairs, and we just had collected enough pieces to start the second one. But until then, they've lived on other walls. Then the intention was always to go here. But I didn't, I was like, I love these pieces. I don't want them stacked up in a closet. So like, they're going to live in a powder room. They're going to live on a hall. They're going to live in a place that's maybe not perfect. But now they're all going up there. And it's a collection of like really nice pieces. And also like my middle child, he did this great self-portrait that I like am obsessed with. And it's right up there in the middle of it. So
That's awesome.
It doesn't have to be perfectly curated. It's so much more interesting when it's not.
That's good advice. It sounds like, Taryn, you just now need to start getting the really big, like a couple really big.
Yeah.
I do feel like those are harder to find.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or harder maybe
and to
decide
align on. I was going to say, it's because they're usually investment pieces. And then to align, I think, with whoever you live with. So for me, it's my husband. And I have been where I've seen something and I have intentionally been like, all right, let's go to this gallery. I want you to see it. And then we've sat there and hemmed and hawed. But I will say we intentionally do try to go a few times a year and look at art, because I do want something bigger, because we do have some big walls. Because there is, it's also like if you do a bunch of walls with little stuff, you do become like...
Yes. The gallery wall has to be very intentional. I don't think that every wall deserves a gallery wall. It becomes a little too like...
And then it's
too much
less of
visually.
a focal point if you overuse it. You know what I mean? Like,
Agree.
It's in every room. It loses its power, I think,
Yeah.
Whereas if you have like a couple really good moments, then like they're more dramatic.
Yeah.
And
I do think, I think you should go home and you should just hang some things up and move around. And who cares if you have a hole in your wall? Like,
I'm going to do
this giant painting that I fell in love with. It was so big. I couldn't even fit it in my car. It's 60 inches by 60 inches. And it was just one of these paintings. I was there for a client and I was so like gobsmacked that I was like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah.
I love this painting. And the woman was like, I'm so sorry. It was just bought by a collector in Boston. And like, it's going on their truck tomorrow. And I was so sad. And she called me and I guess it couldn't fit up the client's staircase. So she was like, it's headed back to Charlotte. Like, do you want it? I was like, don't even bring it back to the gallery. Just like bring it right on to my house. And
oh, that's awesome.
My husband's like, it's too big for that, like over the sofa. And I just think it's so interesting because like I want it to also like stare everybody else in the face like it does to me. Like I think it's just so amazing.
Yeah.
I don't want it to like have too much room to breathe. I think that it's interesting over my sofa with my kids jumping on the sofa.
Are there any like non-art pieces that you like? Whether it's like sculpture, like wall decor, anything that someone could use to fill a wall space, but that's not like a painting?
Yeah. So we just commented on this a few months ago. We have a lot of my grandmother's china that was like hand painted. There's some great little wall mounts that you can buy off Amazon. They're just like little tiny brass bits and you can hang them up and they're in my dining room and they're mismatched and a lot of the pieces broke and I don't have enough to enjoy them to eat on them, but they remind me of eating at her house. So they live in my dining room. So that's a really fun thing. Also, when I was studying abroad, we were in Morocco and there was this like beautiful old window, this Berber window, and it's like got all these beautiful like hand painted details on it. And I don't know why at 19, I was like in love with this window that was on a dirt floor that nobody else wanted, but I bought it in the markets, and it also hangs in our house.
How did you get that home?
I like don't remember. I mean, I think I it's like they like wrapped it in cardboard, and like I carried it home through customs. I don't know.
did.
I
Yeah, you
did.
did.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, it's kind of just like
That's something
really,
Taryn would do. Yeah.
bold. That and my guitar. I was like, all right, here we go.
You literally had, you had not a hand free. You were like, I got my window, I got my guitar, I'm ready to head home.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny,
Yeah.
but it is fun, those pieces, like you said, that you gather that aren't precious, and then, to invest in a few too. So
And they're great stories, just to kind of remember those different times. And I love sculpture. I think, there's a lot of different makers and people. And I do a lot of high and low, like we talked about earlier, which I know a lot of people say, oh, a mix of high and low. But I do think anything that you can invest in, if that's where you're thinking you would like to invest, is putting it up on the wall or hanging it from the ceiling, whether it's like a light fixture or something. That's just like a great space to kind of, it could enjoy it without worrying that it's going to be destroyed. So,
Yeah, I always feel like lighting is like the best investment if you have kids, because it's, I guess maybe if you have some balls or things in the room, but why are you giving me this look like you have no idea
I'm
what
waiting to see where you're going with this, because
Well,
I'm like, yes, there is always a ball flying in my house. Like there's always.
Well, yeah, we have less of those.
or
Well,
Nerf bullets.
I'm like, it's less likely to get like, if I'm going to splurge on something in here, a light fixture that's like way up high is probably the safest.
Yeah.
No, I think like a wool rug is like the safest.
I mean, because it's cleanable, but like, yeah, I guess, I don't know.
No, you're right. I mean, in a way.
But
yes,
yeah, I don't have
lighting
girls,
is-
not boys, so way less, baseballs and soccer balls than you probably
Yeah,
have.
I will say sculpture I do worry about. Like sculpture's still where I'm worried if I put something, it will get knocked just based on I'm running.
But it
it's
depends
the
on the
space.
sculpture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
There's
like the
this-
height. Put it up on a tall bookcase.
Yeah. And
Or if it does mount to the wall. It totally depends, like you said, kind of what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have this big woman from Curry and Company, and I'm not sure like if y'all have seen them, but she's lying down and she's kicking her leg up, and she's got so much personality, and it's like you open my door and she's like sitting in my foyer like, welcome, like we're gonna have a great time. And it's just it's super heavy, and it's a sculpture, and like
Is
my
it
kids,
metal?
it's metal.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I feel like it can really like really withstand the chaos of being in an entryway.
Yeah, and that's a great example of like something that can work but still be art.
You're giving me the funniest look when I'm
I literally was like, what about a lamp is not going to get broken, or a chandelier?
No.
Yeah.
I feel like lamps are
Targets.
yes, more vulnerable. But like a ceiling fixture or like sconces
Mhm.
feels less risky.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just in a weird place in life. Where I'm like, dealing with nerfs and balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nerf guns.
I know, but it doesn't, like my 12-year-old and 10-year-old, like they run around with all those things. Like there was a game that I walked in on them, and they were trying to throw paper airplanes through the front foyer fixture. Like there was like they were like, that was like the goal.
Yeah,
and they were getting
that's gonna
stuck
catch on
them.
fire.
And I didn't even think about that, but there you go. Yes. And I'm like, why is that the goal? Like go outside and like make anything else. Like, why do you have to throw it through the foyer fixture? But like they'll just, that's just part of it. And I don't know. I think going back to just embracing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we embrace. We do a lot of embracing.
So we'll do a decorating dilemma. I'll read it really quickly. It's from Delita. And I think that's how she says that. I love that name.
So yeah, I
Delita.
liked it too.
Okay, I really enjoy your show. Thank you for taking my question. Of course, thanks for listening. We've downsized to a 1,500 square foot home and are working to maximize our small space for grown children and grandchildren. While we like some aspects of open concept, it doesn't always flow well, especially with multiple activities happening at once. We're planning to remove our kitchen peninsula, upper cabinets, and recess the fridge to create an open kitchen with a large farm table, that will serve as an island. I also want to add a buffet or a small table in the bay window space. I'd like to somehow border off the living room from the kitchen dining area. Most walls are limited, either open space, windows, or a fireplace. I'm considering a partial wall with a wide opening, about 7 feet, between the spaces, or maybe a wall extending from the bookshelf side with a shorter opening. I plan to place a wingback chair on the left wall, possibly reconfigure the sofas, either removing one, placing the remaining on the gallery wall or in front of the window, or replacing them with a true corner sectional. The TV is above the fireplace, and I'd love to add interior window panes as a divider if budget allows. I've attached a few photos of my plan for visualization. Thanks again. Okay, so she actually included a hand-drawn floor plan.
That's so great.
So, she's got what is the current one, and then what she's sort of imagining. So, what are your thoughts?
So from what I can gather, I believe that this right here is the peninsula and that the kitchen must extend further past that. Maybe we're not seeing the kitchen on this plan. Does that feel correct?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm not seeing...
yeah, there's no indication of an actual kitchen. So I agree with you. I think the peninsula right now is...
Yeah. At the top of the... Yeah,
okay,
like
that's
that.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, like that's the peninsula. I think you're right.
And I love her idea of kind of creating the room dividers. I think beautiful glass panes would be really nice. You know, not understanding what the style of the home is or the age of the home, like I would definitely want to take that kind of into consideration and maybe where she's living in terms of if that's like true to the home. But I love sort of the idea of this opening and kind of having the chairs around the room while not obstructing from the flow. I think she's done a really great job. One piece of advice I had was, and again, not understanding exactly what the kitchen, where the kitchen goes and what that layout would look like. I see that she has like one little circle table with 2 chairs maybe in the bay window. And recently we just put in a banquette in one of those. And I know that Ballard has some banquettes that might look great in there. And I think even if it's floor to ceiling windows or partial windows, you could build the banquette right underneath that. And it's really great with grown families and kids. And also maybe if it's just kind of having that space to grow if you're going to have a lot of kids over, but also being great for just 1 or 2 of you who might be there. And I think that would offer her more flexibility in this future kitchen design, depending on how much she loves to cook and what other aspects she might want to enjoy in that space. But kind of tucking away that eating area might be really nice for sort of the flow of the space and kind of utilizing that bay in a more functional way.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a good place. Like if you've got overflow, once you've got lots of grandkids, everyone can't fit at the table, you can kind of overflow over there. Or like, I always love a breakfast table, like in the mornings when you're like working on email or
just the 2 of
reading
them,
it.
maybe.
Yeah.
And coffee right by the window. It's really nice. And I think it would kind of offer, depending on if she's seating at her island, you know, maybe they don't eat at the banquette or dining table all the time. So that would be a nice place to sit down and eat, but it wouldn't have to take up so much square footage in the main level of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was thinking also, having the partial wall, again, hopefully will give her space maybe for more seating in that living room. Because if it sounds like with the family and so much family, it sounds like having more chairs there. Because she also attached this picture of her inspiration for the wall.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
Yeah, very
really
pretty.
And
it'll help I always feel like it's a little awkward sometimes when there's not a divider at all, right? Because it's like,
where do you stop the paint? Where you, finish wise.
Yeah, so having some sort of cased
opening is
cased
really
opening
nice.
is,
And I like having flow from room to room, and I like how open concept offers that, but I do think it's nice to have like a clear division, even if it's just a small one, of like this room is now transitioning into a new space.
Right.
So I think she did a really good job with that thought process.
And even with this picture, like you can put like, you can like use the space in front of these windows, right? Like if you wanted to put like a demi-lune or like a little plant stand or like a little side table with keys on it or like whatever she needs. But if it's just an opening, you can't really use it. But, you know, anyway, yeah.
Sounds like she's on the right track to me.
Yes, agreed. All right, well, Kate, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. It's so much fun.
So great to chat with y'all and to be here in your beautiful city of Atlanta and see your new office. So thank you for having me.
Can you tell everyone where they can find you, follow you, and see your work?
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, you can find me on Instagram at cwg.design. And my website is actually cwg.design as well. There's no .com. And those are the two best avenues to find me. So thank you.
Thank you. That's our show. And that's our show. You can find all of the show notes on our blog, howtodecorate.com/podcast.
To send in a decorating dilemma, email your questions to podcast@ballarddesigns.net so we can help you with your space.
And of course, be sure to follow us on social media at Ballard Designs.
Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Until next time, happy
decorating.